Hey guys, my name is Snowda and I make these Ticket to Diamond videos to help you understand the strengths and weaknesses of a champion so that you can climb more effectively with them. The reality is that a lot of low elo players have decent mechanics, but fundamentally they misunderstand how to play their champions, so I try to clear that up and give other tips on how you can carry your solo queue games. If you enjoy this video and this kind of content, don't hesitate to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel. YouTube is telling me that 90% of the people watching this video are not subscribed to the channel, so if you like my content, don't hesitate and go down below and hit that big red subscribe button. It really helps out the channel a lot. Recently, Caitlyn has resurfaced as both a lane bully and a late game carry. She has this weird dichotomy where she is both good in the early game and also really good in the very late game. Most champions are good in one of the two, whether they are good in the early game and fall off, or they scale well late into the game, but it kind of takes them a while to get there. For Caitlyn though, it's a little bit of both. Because of her very long auto attack range, she has the ability to bully and take trades that are more advantageous to her than to other champions. Especially when you are building Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver first, you can do a lot of great burst damage. Also, with this heavy early AD build, your ultimate also does more damage and can chunk squishy champions on the other team. So alright, let's go ahead and start with Caitlyn's main weaknesses first before we get into her strengths and other tips to carry. Caitlyn's first weakness is that she is a weak mid game. Caitlyn is great in the early game due to the things I mentioned earlier, but when there are more team fights around dragons and when you are rotating around the map, she is definitely a lot weaker. Caitlyn requires a decent amount of setup around her traps for objectives and towers, and when there's a lot of chaos in the mid game, it is harder for her to find the time and space to set this up. Even around early dragons, it is hard for Caitlyn to get a good trap line because there are so many ways to flank her. So you just need to be aware that you have to be careful in the mid game after coming off a very strong early game. It's easy to think that you're going to be just as strong in the mid game as you were earlier in the game, and if you're super far ahead, like 4-0 or 3-0 up a lot of gold, then that might be the case. But in a lot of scenarios, you definitely fall off for the mid game. Caitlyn's second weakness is that she's very weak against all-ins. This is one of the reasons she is bad in the mid game, because this is where team fights really start to develop without a lot of poke and setup. They are just random skirmishes where champions are focused down 100 to 0. Caitlyn thrives in situations where she can use her range to create health advantages in lane and allow her to get pressure, CS leads, and even multiple kills. Without this preparation, it is harder for her to stand toe-to-toe with other ADs and especially other champions that are trying to kill her. This is why it's so important for you to set up your traps around objectives. This is also when most other champions, especially assassins, have completed their first item, so they are able to one-shot her so much easier. Caitlyn's third weakness is that she's not as great of a tank shredder as Vayne, Jinx, or Varus, and this is for a couple of reasons. She doesn't build Bork like some of those other champions. She doesn't have the movement to kite around them and take 1v1s. Champions like Maokai and Ornn can stick to Caitlyn super easily and punish her. So just keep this in mind when you're going into champ select, that you don't want to pick Caitlyn into a ton of tanks. She's really good at punishing squishy champions because of her traps and her headshot damage, plus her ultimate will like half HP an assassin or another AD. Okay, Caitlyn's first strength is that she is great with hard CC. If you pair her with the support like Morgana, Leona, Nautilus, or others, she can layer her traps on top of their CC and get that extra headshot damage. This allows her to get down a lot of great burst and bully people out of lane super easily. This also goes along later in the game with Zhonya's and Guardian Angel, and even something like Bard Ultimate. Being able to put traps under champions that are CC'd allows you to do a lot of great damage. There's Yasuo on the other team that dives the backline and dives right in front of you with the GA. In most other situations, this would be really bad because you'd have to wait for him to get up, then you'd have to focus him down before he kills you. But as Caitlyn, all you have to do is put a trap down and you one-shot him upon respawning. This is a great counter to mobile champions and champions that take advantage of Guardian Angel and Zhonya's. Caitlyn's second strength is that she is great wave clear and poke. Caitlyn's Q is very good at shoving the wave, and if you can pair it with some damage on an enemy champion, it allows you to get some great poke off as well. You should also be looking to punish the enemy AD whenever they go up for CS. If you have a pushing wave, you want to be watching your own minions' health bars and see whenever they're getting low, so that if the enemy AD walks up to get a last hit, you can easily take advantage of that and poke him down. Caitlyn's third strength is that she's great at setting up objectives. If you can get to a Baron or Dragon fight just even 10 seconds before you normally would, it allows you to put down a trap line, which can create a lot of pressure on your opponents. It forces them to either split up and flank your team, or they have to go through the trap line, which means they're going to get stuck and take a lot of damage from you. This is a great tool that you need to be utilizing on Caitlyn, so make sure you're getting to objectives early early and set them up. Also, when you're pushing your lane in, make sure you're putting traps down behind the tower. So sometimes you can hide a trap under the tower and your opponent will accidentally hit it, and then you get some great and easy poke damage. This also makes Caitlyn super good at sieging towers. She can put a line of traps down, which allows her to free hit the tower and kind of hinders her opponents from clearing the wave. So make sure you are utilizing Caitlyn's range and her ability to kind of zone off the enemy team. Okay, there are 3 tips for you to carry on Caitlyn in your solo queue games. The first is you have to utilize your early game range in order to get an advantage in lane. If you are against champions with a great all-in, this could be Malphite support, this could be Ashe, this could be Leona, whatever champions are looking to get a strong all-in at level 6, those are the ones you have to be careful of. Play around their own power spikes and be aware of when you could be in danger. The way you gain a lead is by keeping up pressure in your lane and punishing your opponent whenever you can. So you have to be able to balance and figure out when you are in danger and when you can apply some pressure and get some poke off. Always know that the more poke you can get off before they have the chance to all in you, the easier time you're going to have in lane. The second tip to carry is that you're going to want to get to objectives early and set up your trap line. I cannot stress this enough, especially with so much pressure around Dragon Soul and Elder. Even early Rift Heralds, if you have to rotate up to the top side of the map early, can really set your team up for success for the rest of the game. So if you just show up to a dragon when it's starting, you're going to get tossed. You're going to get all in by an assassin. A tank is going to 1v1 you because that's just the meta right now. And if you can just get your trap line down, you can scare your opponent off and give you free dragons, barons, Rift Heralds, whatever. You have to be wary of your team's macro play and know when the major objectives are going to spawn. I know I've repeated myself a lot in this video, but it's just so true on a lot of champions. And so the last tip in order to carry is that if you're behind, if you're ahead, whatever, make sure you are prioritizing farm and experience because you will scale up into an unstoppable monster later into the game. Caitlyn at 3 items might not be able to 1v1 a Jinx or a Vayne, but with her team's help, she can most definitely carry a team fight easily with her high damage, her range, and her ability to put down trap lines and zone off the enemy team. She is great on 1 item. She's great super early in the game. She falls off a little bit in the mid game because there's just so much more chaos and she doesn't thrive in chaos. She thrives in good setup situations. But once she gets a lot of items, she turns back into a monster again. So make sure you are always focusing on farm and experience, and regardless of what happens in the game, don't give up because you're playing a champion that can definitely carry once you get enough items. Alright guys, these are the runes. I'm going to throw them up on the screen right now. You know that these can change in a matter of days, so make sure you're checking your favorite League of Legends website to get the updated runes and skill order. For standard build on the current patch right now, you're taking Infinity Edge into Berserker Greaves, into Essence Reaver, and then some sort of attack speed crit item, and then Last Whisper if they have tanks. Another thing you can do if you want to is even think about taking Teleport as your second summoner spell as well. Thing about Caitlyn is that if you're all in and even if you have heal, you're still probably going to die. So having the ability to get as much experience and farm by being able to teleport back in a lane is super useful. Plus, it might allow you to pick up a couple extra kills. All right, guys, that's all I have you. And as always, this has been Snowda. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.